Best feeling in the world to see a small human being giddy at the sight of a goat and then run to you and clench you tight because she's terrified of that said goat. Good morning, geezers. Monday, 22nd of September 2025. It's a beautiful day here in Thailand. Little bit of a haze in the air. Nice cool breeze. And today's video topic of choice is, as it says in the title, no clickbait here. People who have kids versus people who don't have kids. Because believe it or not, I was online. Shock horror, I'm always online. I hate being online, but I'm always online. Looking at something the other day, and there seemed to be an argument going on between people who have kids and people who don't have kids. Another game of one-upsmanship. Who has the better life? Oh, my life is this, so my life is better than yours. No, this is my life. My life is better than yours. I have been a dad now for nearly 4 years. In fact, today's September 22nd. On October 22nd, my baby will be 4 years old. That's her birthday. It's been probably the best, the most challenging, the most fun, the most boring, the happiest, yet the most stressful 4 years of my life. You experience everything when you have a kid. Some people will do things in a much more traditional way, I guess. In the hometown, have a big family system around, support system that's willing to help out, and that probably, I guess, makes a massive difference. But for us, if you've seen these videos before, living in Thailand, you know our situation. Kind of lonely out here. Got to figure out everything, absolutely everything ourselves, whether it be childcare, transportation, education, finances, the future, etc. We've got to figure it all out ourselves, and it can take its toll on you. Mentally, physically, it can be draining, but it's worth. I'm not here to judge people who don't want kids, who choose not to have kids, but I would say when I see an argument like that, which is, let's face it, a ridiculous argument that nobody would ever have face to face. I'm not saying it's one of them situations where it's like, oh, keyboard warriors, you wouldn't say that to my face. But I just feel like it's a conversation that wouldn't come up in real life. It wouldn't come up face to face. If you were with your friends and you had kids and your friends didn't have kids, you wouldn't sit there debating who has the best life, the best situation. Whereas, you know, online people will argue literally about what color the sky is. My perspective on it, and I think this is a very respectful, fair perspective, is I had my kid when I was 34 years old. So, you know, I'm getting old. You can figure out my age from those numbers. I had a whole life before that. Some people have kids young. Maybe that's their choice. Maybe something happens. I don't know. I'm not going to analyze every potential scenario. But the point is, I had a whole life before I had a kid. So I know both sides of the argument. I know what a life of freedom is like. For me, being single, being a married man with a life of freedom, me and my wife having a life of freedom, we know what it's like. And sometimes we miss it, in the sense of course, sometimes you miss that freedom, not having to think about every aspect of everything before making a decision, whether it be to travel, whether it be to, you know, do something, go out at night time, for example. I know both sides of the argument. I've lived both sides of the argument. If you've not had a kid, you haven't. So you're focusing only on one side of the argument, on your experience, and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't know the benefits of being a parent because you've never experienced it. And trust me, there's nothing in life that compares to watching a human being grow from just a little speck of sperm. No, that's not how it works, but you get what I'm saying. You're literally watching this little bean grow, first on a screen. I remember one time me and my wife went for a checkup and the little hand pushed against the camera, fucking greatest feeling in the world. This was during COVID time. Been going to one hospital and they were a little bit non-negotiable when it came to the COVID restrictions, but we ended up actually giving birth in another hospital. I wish we'd found that hospital earlier, to be honest. It was much nicer. And one of the options that they did have was one of those 3D scans, and we saw her face on the screen, this 3D scan, a face we've never seen before, a face we'd only been imagining. And she had massive lips. Massive lips, and I was like, I said to her, that can't be it, that cannot be it. Like, but yeah, she came out, she had massive lips, she was perfect. Like, I'm not saying massive lips like a Kardashian style lips, I'm saying like just whatever we'd imagined, it was just there on the screen. And we're like, nah, this was, you know, I'm not saying a waste of money, but this probably wasn't as good as we anticipated. But it turned out to be a perfect representation of what she looks like. And then she arrived. Oh God, we've been through all the stages, and you don't get that if you don't have kids. If it's genuinely something that doesn't appeal to you, then of course there's no problem with that. But for people to boast about having their freedom in their 50s against people who are raising kids in their 50s, I just feel like, for me personally, just my perspective, I'm Christian, raised as a Catholic. You know, my wife's not a Catholic, we come from two different cultures, but I still have those values. I was speaking to a friend of mine in South Korea a couple of weeks ago. She's pregnant right now. She's from a very devout Christian family. South Korea have got a big birth problem at the moment, a declining birth rate, worst in the world. The government are doing all sorts to encourage people to have kids. I asked her, can I ask you a personal question with what's going on in Korea right now? Was it a difficult choice for you to decide with your husband to have a baby? She said no, it was the easiest choice in the world, because yeah, there'll be a lot of potential difficulties in the future, but she was raised to want to meet a man, get married, and once they're married and once they've established their situation, to have a baby. That's just like natural. To me, it was very natural as well. Like, me and my wife were together for nearly 5 years before we had a kid, but it was always something that we'd spoken about, that we'd imagined would happen one day. And it was just something that we both wanted. And again, I'm not judging people who don't want that. But for people to literally just focus on, oh, I'll have to give up my freedom, or oh, it might be expensive, or oh, I won't be able to go out at night. And there comes a time in life where there has to be something more than just existing for yourself. Like I say, I had my baby when I was 34. I probably could have lived the life I was living for 2, 3, 4, 5 more years easily. I could have filled the time per se, and traveling more, had more experiences, but it happened, and I wouldn't change anything, despite the fact that this has been probably the most stressful period of my life. I've said in my videos before, being here in Thailand, wonderful country, look at this beautiful place. Always feel like I'm blessed to be here, but no support system around me. Always thinking about my daughter's future, like where will it be best for her to study in the future? Where will it be best for her, God forbid, to live in the future? Like, if she's got better opportunities elsewhere, I have to accept that. I'm sure my mum and dad don't want me living on the other side of the world right now. They're getting old, they miss me. Don't blame them, to be honest. I'm a fucking fantastic person. I wouldn't want my daughter to be living in another country. I couldn't bear to be away from her. Couldn't bear to be away from her for one day. But in the future, I'll have to accept her choices and accept what is best for her. She loves dancing right now. She wants to go to Korea and be a K-pop superstar. As long as she's eating right and taking care of herself mentally, I'll support that. Love Korea, planning on going back there in the next few months. Make a little video about my history, the history of my life in Korea. It's very different to what you see portrayed by most of the people online nowadays. There are many more layers than K-pop, K-dramas, K-wave would have you believe. There's my 2 cents on the matter, guys. Just my perspective. I guess this is more of a tribute to my daughter, my beautiful little daughter, my life-changing daughter. At the moment, we're having Daddy-Daughter Day every Saturday. This weekend, we went for a little drive up the coast. We came home, we went swimming in the swimming pool, we came up, we got a shower, and then one of the local shopping malls is having a little farming safari event. She's absolutely loving it. You can't anticipate what those sort of experiences will feel like. Best feeling in the world to see a small human being giddy at the sight of a goat and then run to you and clench you tight because she's terrified of that said goat. Anyway, guys, have a nice day.